As I was writing this, my comments and the entire script of what I'm about to share about episode 11, right? The 11th episode of the 100 Girlfriends Who Really, 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 Really Love You anime series. I teared up a bit from looking back at such an incredible moment and looking back as well in the manga, right? Um, Now I did, of course, as a fan of this series, one of my first purchases of this manga, is this baby right here, the third volume of this series, which also happens to be the very arc of the story that's been tackled in episodes 10, 11, and soon to be in the 12th episode, right? And I've mentioned this before that I wasn't able to purchase the first two volumes because at that time it was really difficult for me to purchase one. But thankfully, this volume three was the only one that was available at the moment. But I was still very happy and very proud to purchase this volume because this volume that contains this arc, this story arc within the Hyakuno storyline, right? Is such a masterclass, a beautiful, beautiful piece of storytelling that I've ever seen in a harem story ever, because of how genuinely beautiful and really heartwarming, precious it is to see all of these characters come into terms with one another, and how lots of bonds and really amazing moments were executed very perfectly within this story. And so yeah, I'm so happy that in the anime adaptation, this this has really it has really delivered very well the entirety of this manga's story to the core message of this storyline of the characters, and really cranking up to 100 of how great it is. So let's start, fam, with my review on the 11th episode of this manga series. Right now, this let's start off with a quick recap from what happened in the last episode. I really love the showing of, or the approach of, this immediate shift in character of Hahari from this strict woman with such an unwavering will to then suddenly cut to this absolute really wonderful person with desires that's just overflowing and gushing out of her like a waterfall, right? So I really love that comedic uh, approach that they've done with the recap. Really funny, I love it. And to continue off, or this episode continues off with finding out that how Rentaro rather would respond to the confession of Hahari, right? And just as you'd expect, everyone is completely shocked, including Karane as well. I really love how they were able to portray her, well, her response or her shock towards the confession, right? And we also get to see how Rentaro was also blushing and getting also his heart fluttered and being flattered about, this Hahari, the mother of his girlfriend, confessing to him. But also, we also get to know, of course, that Hahari is fated to be one of Rentaro's soulmates, right? So yeah, on that part, while everyone was really dumbfounded by the situation, right? And essentially trying to forget that it ever happened, we then get to proceed to this lie detector trial that Hahari set up to determine on the true intentions, the true feelings of Rentaro on towards Hakari, right? And there I guess I would say that throughout this entire episode as well, I want to mention that there are indeed some scenes or details that were slightly altered, right, or changed, but it really compensated well with the anime original moments, right, and the way that the anime paced itself. And I would say perfectly that the messages and the scenes overall still capsulated and really executed these scenes and moments, really perfectly, right. And another really good, perfect execution from this show, from this episode, right, are the really heartwarming and climactic moments that happened between characters, right? The exchange of passionate conversations, for example, the intensity of Rentaro really declaring his love and proving himself to really love all of his girlfriends, right? All of his partners, during the lie detector scene, right? It's very, very powerful, well done. And also, aside from that lie detector scene, it was also Rendero's passion, right? Was also really executed perfectly and seen at that climactic moment when he jumped out of the window to save a falling Hakari, right? And there are of course some angles that I suppose, in my opinion, I wished were highlighted more in the anime from the manga, right? Because manga wise, right, there was a lot of amazing panels and scenes that that really drew me into the story, right? And I'm not saying that the anime adaptation didn't do a good job, right? I'm saying that it did a great job, in fact, in capturing that really heartfelt moment. Aside from just the animation wise and the backgrounds and everything about it, visually, right? The soundtrack is what also drew me in to really tear up, right? Again, elements found from animation is what also elevates and further enhances the the preciousness, the amazingness, the lovability and the likeliness of how a scene should be, right? On how emotional, dramatic, intense, frightening, and everything about it just really elevates further when it is being animated, right? Furthermore, I also really love how they really well incorporated a lot of fourth wall break moments, right? And this self-spoiling moment with that of Rentaro for what's about to come in later on in the episode, right? And which I'll also talk about right in the ending part, right? Now, this one moment as well, right? Of which everyone was also kind of, I would say, shocked, I guess, or surprised. I'm not so sure, but it's a very exciting moment, I would say as well, because right before that very crucial scene would play out with Hakuri and Rentaro, right? There was one character, a maid, rushing in to tell Hahari about the situation of Hakuri, and many people speculated indeed that this character, the maid, is Mei, a future girlfriend who would later appear in the story. And it is pretty understandable as well to believe so, that this character is indeed the Mei, right? It's a sort of a cameo to Mei, right? Now, aside from the maid outfit, there's also the fact that her hair color also kind of matches that of Mei, and it was also kind of suspicious as well that the animated adaptation presented this character in a way that only half of her face is covered up, right? The upper half, so you couldn't see her eyes, and that is the thing, because if we were to really see her full face, right, if her eyes were to be closed, then indeed, surely enough, we can already identify that is Mei, because one of Mei's attributes or characteristics of her character is that she is a maid with her eyes always closed. That's one of her best features. And further to top it off, her hair design, right, looking at from as many angles as you can be, it really resembles also closely to that of Mei, right? So all of these evidences all lead up to this character really being the cameo for Mei, right? But my opinion about it, while indeed all of these evidences prove to lead to that conclusion, I would just also like to add a bit more information as to why perhaps it's not, right? I'm not saying that I'm glad that it's not. I'm just this is just a bit of a more context to add to this entirety, right? Now, firstly, in the manga, during this specific scene, we get to actually see the entire body of the maid when she came bursting into the room, right, to address everyone, to alert everyone about the situation that Hakari is about to fall off from the window, right? And the hairstyle of the maid kind of resembles closely similar to that of Mei indeed, but one crucial feature is her bangs, right? Because Mei has this sort of bang design going on, and within the long shot, right, of the maid bursting into the room, we don't see that bang up close, right? Another thing I would argue about as well is that looking back into earlier chapters as well, when May was indeed present, right? She also has that sort of similar, feature going on with her hairstyle, but it's still missing a few more details. But aside from just physical appearances, right? The one that really got me the most as well, or got me curious, is the way that of how May would address Hahari, because in the manga she would always address Hahari as Hahari-sama, right? But in the anime adaptation, right, this particular character who we may or may not know yet, is actually May. In the anime, she addresses Hahari as Okusama, right? Okusama. So it's quite different in the way that she addresses Hahari, but yet again, I'm still very not sure, I'm very not sure whether or not this really is indeed May. But if you want to believe it or not, whether you believe that this person really is a cameo for me, it's really up to you, family. Either way, I really love how the entirety of this scene played out, right? I also really love indeed the voice performances of Miyo Tomita, who plays Karine, and Sumire Uesaka, who plays Hahari, right? Especially during that whole scene where they're both so determined and so passionate in expressing their emotion, and their strong faith to how both of them really care about Hakari, right? For Karine, she really cares for Hakari as from a best friend point of view, the love of a best friend, and on the side of Hahari, shows so much care for Hakari in the perspective, or on the side of a mother's love, right? So both best friend love and motherly love are really shown so beautifully during this scene. And to the voice performances as well of Wataru Kato, who plays Rentaro, and Kaide Hondo, who plays Hakuri, their beautiful conversation and the moment, right, which they really talked with one another right before Hakuri, things went wrong. It's so heartwarming, it's so passionate, right? As she was about to fall off, Rentaro was able to save her just in the nick of time. But in that moment, very moment when Hakuri slipped, I really love how it was adapted to really give the scene such a perfect level of fright, terror of Hakari nearly falling, right? It was so, like, it was played out really like how I'd imagine it's played out in one of those really dramatic movies or Ghibli films, for instance, right? The moment when Rentaro catched Hakari, man, that was so perfect. I really love it, right? I also really love how they were able to sprinkle in this funnily cute moment when Shizuka, Nano, and Kusuri tried to swim over to the pond to rescue the both of them, because as Hakari fell down, Rentaro caught her and he was able to ensure that they both landed on a pond, so they're safe, right? And Shizuka, Nano, and Kusuri who tried to swim over to them, I love how Shizuka was like, so she couldn't swim, so she drowned, so to speak, right? You can see bubbling bubbles up in the water, but I also, thankfully, Kusuri was able to save her. And I really love the fact that they've animated the part when Kusuri swam to get her. That was super cute. And when everyone's alright, when everything started to settle down, we get to see another amazing spectacle of friendship between Hakari and Karane, and just how really proving how beautiful and strong their friendship is. Such an emotional, impactful moment that happened within this series indeed. And all of the members of the Render family, I really love how they were able to really capture and show the concern that everyone has towards Hakari, especially on Karane, when she really got mad and really slapped Hakari because she really cares that much for her. I really love how that level of love, right, is shown. And then we finally, aside from getting this really funny reaction from Kusuri, this beautiful scene, right, where Hahari finally sees the man named Aijo Rentaro, who he is, what he can do, what are his true feelings, his true intentions, right? With that, she gave a very sincere bow, proclaiming and asking for Rentaro if he could take care of her daughter, right? Essentially, proclaiming how she would accept Rentaro as Hakari's boyfriend. And I really love this moment from both the manga and the anime as well. I love how they're able to this everything about this moment really made me again tear up, made me so emotional knowing that Hahari finally found someone who could truly keep her daughter happy, right? Because isn't that the thing precisely, right? The reason why she wanted to break up Hakari from with Rentaro is that seeing Rentaro being this 5-timing person, she's skeptical on whether or not he can truly make her happy. And the last thing that Harry would want for her daughter is to experience the same sadness as she did. But now seeing his determination, she was really sure now that, you know, she found someone who shares the same level of love of Hakari as her. But it ain't over yet, fam. Because for Rentaro, seeing Hahari so strong and so, you know, being so convinced enough to really accept him, right? It's also something that shows Hahari, that shows to Rentaro on how much faith she really put in him, right? And, you know, displays on how Hahari is truly such a caring person. And to land to the final blow of this, you know, Rentaro replied to her confession and he happily accepts it, right? And now, as usual, the reactions of the other girlfriends were really hilarious. I really love it. And just what I thought, fam, this is another thing that really surprised me about this episode. Just when I thought that the episode would end, it still continues on, showing off us this fan service scene, the Festival of Goddesses, fam. Really absolutely beautiful how they included it, right? Surprising as well that they had the time for this, but it all kind of actually paces itself really well, you know, pacing wise rather. I would say that it's okay. The sudden shift in tone of Hahari from this person in a sort of antagonist-like state, right, to that of someone who is very open and really already unified and is comfortable with the Rentaro family is really quite quick a bit, at least for me, in terms of this anime, because in the manga, right, that moment of which Hahari snuggled with Rentaro after her confession, after accepting her confession rather, is the end of that chapter. So in this next chapter, it was it then covers that whole fan service moment. That fan service chapter starts to kick off, right? The entire episode of episode 11 covers just 2.5 chapters essentially. And while I have to say though that the pacing of the lie detector trial and the Hakari rescue part, right, was indeed really perfect, you know, again, I was really happy as well to see them also include just a few more parts from the 20th chapter, which again is this the fan service chapter, so to speak, right? And yeah, either way, I'm not really complaining because we get to see that incredibly beautiful moment within this episode, right? And yeah, anyway, just more of the final scenes of this entire episode plays off with a lot of cuteness and really amazing moments. Such cute moments from Hakari, Karane, Shizuka, Nano, Kusuri, and then Hahari as well. The pajama party outfits are so adorable. Watching this over and over again could literally give you diabetes, I would argue, from how amazingly cute it is. I really love how they adapted it so perfectly, right? And now the episode ends in quite a spicy cliffhanger, right? Of which, well, yeah, if you know, you know, right? But speaking of ending, family, aside from just the inclusion of that fan service moment, what also really surprised me from this episode is that they produced a whole new ending theme song for the episode with none other than Sumire Osaka singing the ending theme song, right? And the best way I can describe my thoughts on this ending theme song is that I was speechless, to say the least. And you know what you know what I mean if you if you watch the video for yourself. I'll actually put a link to the video below because they've released it on YouTube, right, at the Emotion Label channel, so please do check it out. Again, I'll put the link down below for you to, you know, to watch it, right? And I want to know your thoughts as well on the ending theme song, fam. In one way or another, I have such a difficult time trying to find the right words to describe this theme song, but just one way to put it, overall it is beautiful. I've actually downloaded the song in my phone and I've been playing it like constantly, almost all the time, because it's mesmerizing indeed. Yeah, with that being said, thank you for listening, family, and take care.